Hello everyone, this is Aditya and I will start this video with a question that what if I dug a tunnel across the geometric poles of the earth and I throw you inside that tunnel. So what is going to happen with you? Well, of course you know that there's a core present at the center of the earth, so of course you know that what is going to happen with you. But of course we are neglecting that scenario and we will be just working on an ideal case that suppose that there's no core which exists on the center in the center of the earth, and we are assuming that there are no other forces except the gravitational force which is acting on you in your journey. Okay, so now let's start with that thought. Okay, so just start thinking about a earth in which there's no core and there's no other force acting on you when you are in your journey towards the tunnel, right? In the tunnel, of course, right? So of course I'm going to display a page over here which I am holding in my hand, and I will explain you things mathematically using that. Okay, so let's see. Suppose this is your earth, okay, and it is a north pole and it is a south pole. Okay, so when you are thrown, maybe suppose from north pole, okay, so when you are thrown, right, you go to some depth y, okay, from the north pole, and now assume that your distance from the center of the earth is x, right? So what is the gravitational force acting on you? Well, we are not working upon the gravitational force, rather we will be working upon the gravitational field, right? So when you calculate your acceleration due to gravity at that point, right, it will be equal to gm by capital R cube into x, where x is the length or the distance from the center of the earth, and r is the radius of the earth, g is the universal gravitational constant, and m is the mass of the earth, right? How do we get that? Let's discuss that. Okay, let's assume that the density of the earth is suppose rho, right, and the radius we have assumed it's capital R. So what is the mass of the earth? Well, mass is equal to density times the volume, which is equal to rho into 4 by 3 pi r cube, right? Because we have assumed earth has a perfect sphere, right? Okay, so far so good. Okay, now if we are talking about at a depth y, so of course the effective mass of the earth which will act on you, of course it has decreased now. And since the distance from the center of the earth to you is assumed to be x, so what is the mass acting on you? It will be equal to, suppose m is equal to, density is constant, right, rho into 4 by 3 into pi x cube, right? Of course I have mentioned it also, right? Okay, so this is the mass. Now you know that g is equal to, that at that point g is equal to g m by distance square, right? This is equal to, so g into rho into 4 by 3 pi x cube by x square, so it is equal to g into rho into 4 pi by 3 into x, right? Okay, now you know that m is equal to capital M, the complete mass of the earth, is equal to rho into 4 by 3 pi capital R cube. So from this you can get that rho into 4 by 3 pi is equal to m by r cube. So you get that the gravitational field at that point is equal to gm, that is the total mass of the earth, upon the radius of the earth cube into x. So notice that the acceleration is proportional to the displacement, of course, right? And of course we are not dealing with the vector, so that is why we don't care about the negative sign right now. But of course the key point is that the acceleration is proportional to the displacement, which means that when you will be thrown from the north pole of the earth, you will go towards the south pole, and instead of coming out you will just start performing a shm, right? Of course this is the basic idea of the shm, of course, if you can understand, right? So it means that it will be something really interesting if there's no core and nothing else and it is an ideal case. You start performing the shm, right, back and forth, and it is really something interesting, and it was not expected actually. And you can in fact calculate your time period also, that since acceleration is equal to omega square into x, so omega square is equal to gm by r cube, so you get omega is equal to root gm by r cube, and since omega is equal to 2 pi by t, so you get t is equal to 2 pi into root r cube by gm, right? So you will get that. And of course you substitute the value of the mass of the earth, you substitute the radius of the earth, and you know the value of pi, you know the value of capital G, and when you solve you will get some value. I will display it. Okay, right now I don't remember it, right? So it is something really interesting that you will start performing shm out of nowhere, that shm term came, right? So it is really interesting to understand the nature in a more beautiful way, and in a more intuitive way, rather than understanding in a more complex way and then getting confused. Start from the basics, then go to the advanced level, right? So I hope that you understood that what is gonna happen if we assume the ideal case, and I hope that it helps you to gain more interest in physics and many other things, right? So if you enjoyed this video, then please do like, subscribe my channel, and bye bye, take care.